Well, a Eugene woman is trying to turn the death of her teenage daughter into a way to help others. Chloe Wilson was one of 5 young people in Lane County to take their own lives at the beginning of this year. She was just 14, and now as her family tries to cope with their loss, they're also trying to keep other families from suffering. In our special report tonight, the county is also trying something new to prevent teen suicides. To look at the pictures and the videos, Chloe Wilson looks like any other teenager, dancing, goofy pictures with puppy ears, caught on her cell phone at the dinner table. But 5 months ago, on February 26th, when Roxanne Wilson went to wake her up, her life changed forever.
I can't imagine pain worse than this.
And her family is now trying to cope with their new reality without their 14-year-old daughter.
I had no idea, no clue.
As they make their way through a year of firsts, their first month in a new home, no longer able to stay in the home where Chloe took her own life.
I spent the day giving away Chloe's clothes to her closest friends. This was really final and it's just really hard.
Spending Chloe's first birthday without her. On June 10th, on what would have been her 15th birthday, Jason and Roxanne Wilson, surrounded by family and friends, released dozens of balloons at Emerald Park, where Chloe had celebrated many birthdays before.
It's been a tough year for the community.
Chloe is one of 5 young people who killed themselves at the start of the year in Lane County. In a typical year, the county sees 7 deaths.
We experienced what's called a suicide point cluster.
Suicide prevention coordinator Roger Brubaker says none of the deaths were related, and there hasn't been an overall increase in suicides in Lane County, but they knew that something needed to be done. So they activated an incident command structure. Since then, they've trained 16 people to go into agencies, schools, and medical offices in the community, armed with information from their suicide library.
I've found that people are very hungry for this information, and they really want practical steps that can help them and their families.
It's a new concept across the country and a first in Oregon. Brubaker says 50% of the time, suicidal crises last less than 10 minutes. And when seconds matter, the QPR model can help. It stands for Question, Persuade, and Refer, and it's what he uses to train parents, staff, and administrators in hopes of keeping the conversation going with teens.
The research shows time and time again that if you have a conversation with a teen, really with anyone, about the concept of suicide, as long as it's done safely and non-judgmentally, it's not going to introduce a new idea in their head. What it's really going to do is provide a source of relief for that person.
I wish I knew that you're supposed to ask your kids every day. But now I do.
That's one of the many things that Roxanne Wilson has learned since that Monday morning in February.
To all the parents out there, ask your kids how they're doing every day. Check in with them every day.
And she wants to use that information to keep other families from suffering.
We just really want to help these kids realize what they're doing to each other.
She's been working to create the nonprofit Fifth Corner with the help of Roberta Howard, the executive director of the Willamette Leadership Academy, who works with troubled teens. Howard says it was Chloe's idea to start a peer support group at lunch so kids could talk to each other about what they were going through.
Because adults my age just simply couldn't understand. We may have skills, but we certainly don't go through what they're going through. And, you know, you say, yeah, that old lady doesn't know. Well, no, I don't. You know, I simply don't.
Roxanne says Chloe asked to enroll at the military-style school because she craved the stability and structure, and she wanted to get away from bullies.
And the fact that there was no tolerance for bullying. They took their phones when they first got there. They didn't get them back till they left. They didn't have to deal with any cyberbullying while they were on campus.
Howard says while that's something they can control within their school, they're trying to teach teens how to deal with that and other issues outside of their hallways.
So what are the skills we can teach you so that when you get on the bus and go home, you have some skills to be able to deal with it.
She says they'll use many of the practices that have worked at her school at their new nonprofit. They're already holding weekly meetings for teenagers.
And Cahoots came and did 2 of the trainings from Whitebird Clinic, and they did de-escalation And then they did wellness as suicide prevention.
And they're planning to open a home, giving kids a safe place to live and to work on their social, physical, emotional, and mental wellness. In the first year, there will be room for 72 middle and high school aged kids. Then by the third year, they'll be able to help 180 kids of all ages. Roxanne says they're using some of those tools in her home.
We talk a lot. And we ask them every day.
As their family continues to adjust to a life without Chloe.
Oh God, I just miss everything.
A father who is now left to deal with the loss of his daughter.
They were two peas in a pod. They were like goofy and funny and crack up and cut up all the time.
A brother who no longer has his sister for those long talks on the trampoline.
They also would go back on the trampoline and lay blankets down and look at the stars and talk for hours.
And Clyde, their 11-year-old, who lost his best friend.
I can't imagine pain worse than this, and I know it's just like 20 times as bad, and it breaks my heart.
Roxanne says they're leaning on each other for support. They hold family meetings once a week to talk about their progress and setbacks.
And we're surviving. And we're making it.
She says the Serenity Prayer is also helping them heal.
We have the third part of that prayer down pat. We definitely know the wisdom. We definitely have the wisdom to know the difference between what we can change and what we can't.
But they'll always struggle with the first part about accepting things you can't change.
We know that Chloe's gone, and it's forever, and we can't bring her back. As much as that hurts, we know that's not something we can change.
Knowing they'll never again see Chloe slide down the hallway in her socks, her sweet smile, or showing off her crazy dance moves.
What we won't accept, never, is that she died for nothing. She will never die for nothing. It will never happen. We will spend the rest of our lives making sure she didn't die for nothing.
And suicide is the second leading cause of death for 15 to 34-year-olds. CDC researchers say the latest data shows about half of the people who died had a known mental health condition. 42% had a relationship problem. Substance abuse affected 28%. 16% had job or financial problems. 29% had some kind of crisis. And then 22% had a physical health issue.